It's November 6th, 8:51 p.m. I'm going to read Liber HHH, sub figura 341. Continet, capitula, tria, MMM, AAA, et SSS. AA publication in Class D. Sunt duo modi percuos, homo fit deos, tohu et bohu. Mens quasi flamma surgat, aut quasi putuius atque quiesat. Alteri modi sunt tres exempli, qui illis extra limine collegii sancti dati sunt. In hoc primo libro sunt atque contemplationes. Two are the methods of becoming God, the upright and the averse. Let the mind become as a flame, or as a well of still water. Of each method are three principal examples given to them that are without the threshold. In this first book are written the reflections. This is not quite the literal translation of the Latin, but gives the gist of it well enough. In contrast to the waters of contemplation, the flames of enthusiasm were supposedly treated of in Liber IAO, or 17, which is unpublished and believed lost. I have been informed that a work claiming to be Liber IAO survives in a private collection, with a Latin prologue and quotes from Liber 65 and 7, paralleling those here, but have been unable to authenticate it or even study a copy. Sunt tres contemplationes quasi halitas in mente humana abysso inferni. Prima necros, secunda pyramis, tertia phallos, vocatur. Et hae reflectiones aquaticae sunt trium enthusiasmorum. Apollonis Dionysi Veneris, total stella et Nikesh et Messiah, nomen ahi cum Jehovah conjunctum. There are three contemplations, as it were breaths, in the human mind. That is the abyss of hell. The first is called necros, Greek corpse. The reference is to Cap 2 AAA, which parallels Liber Cadaveris 120. Compare also the meditations on various kinds of corpses described in the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. The second, Pyramis, Greek pyramid, the reference is to Cap 1 MMM, which parallels Liber Pyramidos 671. These are the watery reflections of the three enthusiasms, those of Apollo, Dionysus, and Aphrodite. And the third, Phallos, Greek phallus, the reference is to Cap 3 SSS. These are the watery reflections of the three enthusiasms, those of Apollo, Dionysus, and Aphrodite. The four kinds of enthusiasms, or divine madness, the first being poetic inspiration from the nine muses, are discussed in Plato's Phaedrus, and treated of by Renaissance writers such as Ficino in his commentary on the Symposium, Agrippa in De Occulta Philosophia, Liber 3, cap 45-49, and Giordano Bruno in De Li Erotii Furori. See also Crowley's essay Energized Enthusiasm, Liber 811. It is believed that Liber IAO, if it was ever written, described meditation or magic practices based on these three enthusiasms. The whole star is Nikesh and Messiah. The name Ahi joined with Jehovah. To explain this piece of Kabbalistic analogic, the divine names Ahi and Yod-He-Vav-He or Jehovah, having as they do the letter pair Yod-He in common, may be combined to give a single six-letter name Ahi Jehovah, which is said to unite microprosopis and macroprosopis. It enumerates to 32, the total number of paths in Sephiroth, the number of the paths of wisdom mentioned in the Sefer Yetzirah. Next, since He is the letter of the mother, we substitute for the 3 He's the 3 mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph, Mem, and Shin, giving Ashimua, or some permutation thereof, which enumerates to 358, the number of Nakesh, a serpent, e.g. in Genesis 3, and Messiah, the anointed one. The 3 mother letters are referred to in the 3 chapters of Liber HHH as indicated, and its number 341 is the sum of these letters. The other 3 letters, Aleph, Yod, and Vav, rearranged, give Yod, Aleph, Vav, a Hebrew spelling of IAO, which adds to 17. Even leaving aside the purported Liber IAO, there is evidence in other Crowley manuscripts that he referred to the letters of IAO to the 3 enthusiasms as I, Eochus, Dionysus, A, Aphrodite, and O, Orus, or a cognate of Apollo, a permissible fudge since the aspirate is not a letter in Greek. 1. MMM. I remember a certain holy day in the dusk of the year, in the dusk of the equinox of Osiris, when I first beheld thee visibly, when first the dreadful issue was fought out, when the ibis-headed one charmed away the strife. I remember thy first kiss, even as a maiden should. Nor in the dark byways was there another. Thy kisses abide. Liber Lepidus Lazuli, 7:3. 0. Be seated in thine asana, wearing the robe of a neophyte, the hood drawn. 1. It is night, heavy and hot. There are no stars. Not one breath of wind stirs the surface of the sea, that is thou. No fish play in thy depths. 2. Let a breath rise and ruffle the waters. This also thou shalt feel playing upon thy skin. It will disturb thy meditation twice or thrice, after which thou shouldst have conquered in. But unless thou first feel it, that breath hath not arisen. 3. Next, the night is riven by the lightning flash. This also shalt thou feel in thy body, which shall shiver and leap with the shock, and that also must both be suffered and overcome. 4. After the lightning flash, resteth in the zenith a minute point of light, and this light shall radiate until a right cone be established upon the sea, and it is day. With this thy body shall be rigid automatically, and this shalt thou let endure, withdrawing thyself into thine heart in the form of an upright egg of blackness, and therein shalt thou abide for a space. 5. When all this is perfectly and easily performed at will, let the aspirant figure to himself a struggle with the whole force of the universe. In this he is only saved by his minuteness, but in the end he is overthrown by death, who covers him with a black cross. Let his body fall supine with arms outstretched. 6. So lying, let him aspire fervently unto the holy guardian angel. 7. Now let him resume his former posture. 22 times shall he figure to himself that he is bitten by a serpent, feeling even in his body the poison thereof. And let each bite be healed by an eagle or hawk, spreading its wings above his head, and dropping thereupon an healing dew. But let the last bite be so terrible a pang at the nape of the neck that he seemeth to die. And let the healing dew be of such a virtue that he leapeth to his feet. 8. Let there be now placed within his egg a red cross, then a green cross, then a golden cross, then a silver cross, or those things which these shadow forth. Herein is silence. For he that hath rightly performed the meditation will understand the inner meaning hereof, and it shall serve as a test of himself and his fellows. 9. Let him now remain in the pyramid or cone of light as an egg, but no more of blackness. Then let his body be in the position of the hanged man, and let him aspire with all his force unto the holy guardian angel. 11. The grace having been granted unto him, let him partake mystically of the Eucharist of the 5 elements, and let him proclaim light in extension. Yea, let him proclaim light in extension. This whole section parallels Liber Pyramidos fairly closely, and is the meditation practice corresponding to Ritual 671, mentioned in Liber 13. The versified solo version of Liber 671, which has been published, is adequate for the purposes of exploring the parallels, although one suspects the meditation practice will be more effective for one who has gone through the ritual ceremonially and imprinted the relevant symbols. 2. AAA. These loosen the swathings of the corpse. These unbind the feet of Osiris, so that the flaming god may rage through the firmament with his fantastic spear. Liber Lapidus Lazuli 7, 15, and 16. 0. Be seated in thine asana, or recumbent in savasana, approximately corpse position. The corpse and dying Buddha asanas, along with the hanged man posture mentioned in Chapter 1, verse 10, were depicted in a supplement to Liber E, which was printed at the start of Equinox 1-7, and also in the 1994 and 1997 Weiser Blue Brick edition of Magic, or in the position of the dying Buddha. 1. Think of thy death. Imagine the various diseases that may attack thee, or accidents overtake thee. Picture the process of death, applying always to thyself. A useful preliminary practice is to read textbooks of pathology and to visit museums and dissecting rooms. 2. Continue this practice until death is complete. Follow the corpse through the stages of embalming, wrapping, and burial. 3. Now imagine a divine breath entering thy nostrils. 4. Next, imagine a divine light enlightening the eyes. 5. Next, imagine the divine voice awakening the ears. 6. Next, imagine a divine kiss imprinted on the lips. 7. Next, imagine the divine energy informing the nerves and muscles of the body, and concentrate on the phenomenon which will already have been observed in 3, the restoring of the circulation. 8. Last, imagine the return of the reproductive power, and employ this to the impregnation of the egg of light in which man is bathed. 9. Now represent to thyself that this egg is the disk of the sun, setting in the west. 10. Let it sink into blackness, born in the bark of heaven, upon the back of the holy cow Hathor. And it may be that thou shalt hear the moaning thereof. 11. Let it become blacker than all blackness. And in this meditation thou shalt be utterly without fear, for that the blackness that will appear unto thee is a thing dreadful beyond all comprehension. And it shall come to pass, that if thou hast well and properly performed this meditation, that on a sudden thou shalt hear the drone and booming of a beetle. 12. Now then shall the blackness pass, and with rose and gold shalt thou arise in the east, with the cry of an hawk resounding in thine ear. Shrill shall it be and harsh. 13. At the end shalt thou rise and stand in the mid-heaven, a globe of glory. and therewith shall arise the mighty sound that holy men have likened unto the roaring of a lion. 14. Then shalt thou withdraw thyself from the vision, gathering thyself into the divine form of Osiris upon his throne. 15. Then shalt thou repeat audibly the cry of triumph of the God re-arisen, as it shall have been given unto thee by the Superior. This possibly refers to something communicated in the Zelator initiation. See note below. 16. And this being accomplished, thou mayest enter again into the vision, that thereby shalt be perfect in thee. 17. After this shalt thou return into the body, and give thanks unto the Most High God, Iada. Yea, unto the Most High God, Iada. Iada, or the highest, is a name or title of God appearing in the angelic keys of D and Kelly. See Casaubon, A True and Faithful Relation. 18. Mark well that this operation should be performed if it be possible in a place set apart and consecrated to the works of the magic of light. Also that the temple should be ceremonially open as thou hast knowledge and skill to perform, and that at the end thereof the closing should be most carefully accomplished. But in the preliminary practice it is enough if thou cleanse thyself by ablution, by robing, and by the rituals of the pentagram and hexagram. 0 through 2 should be practiced at first, until some realization is obtained, and the practice should always be followed by a divine invocation of Apollo, or of Isis, or of Jupiter, or of Serapis. Next, after a swift summary of 0 through 2, practice 3 through 7. This being mastered, add 8. Then add 9 through 13. Then, being prepared and fortified, well fitted for the work, perform the whole meditation at one time, and let this be continued until perfect success be attained therein. For this is a mighty meditation, and holy, having power even upon death. Yea, having power even upon death. This section is the meditation practice corresponding to Ritual 120. Referred to in Liber 13. Unfortunately, the published, after a fashion, version of Liber 120, the ritual of passing through the Tuat, appears to be an early draft differing in a number of respects from the one on which this practice is based. In any case, it is based on Egyptian texts describing the nightly journey of the sun through 12 divisions of the underworld. See, for example, Budge, the Egyptian Heaven and Hell. Note by Frater O.M. At any time during this meditation, the concentration may bring about samadhi. This is to be feared and shunned, more than any other breaking of control, for that it is the most tremendous of the forces which threaten to obsess. There is also some danger of acute delirious melancholia at point 1. 3. SSS. Thou art a beautiful thing, wider than a woman in the column of this vibration. I shoot up vertically like an arrow, and become that above. But it is death in the flame of the pyre. Ascend in the flame of the pyre, O my soul. Thy God is like the cold emptiness of the utmost heaven, into which thou radiatest thy little light. When thou shalt know me, O empty God, my flame shall utterly expire in thy great Nox. Liber Lepidus Lazuli 1, 36 through 40. 0. Be seated in thine asana, preferably the thunderbolt. It is essential that the spine be vertical. 1. In this practice, the cavity of the brain is the yoni, the spinal cord is the lingam. 2. Concentrate thy thought of adoration in the brain. 3. Now begin to awake the spine in this manner. Concentrate thy thought of thyself in the base of the spine, and move it up gradually a little at a time. By this means thou wilt become conscious of the spine, feeling each vertebra as a separate entity. This must be achieved most fully and perfectly before the further practice is begun. 4. Next adore the brain as before, but figure to thyself its content as infinite. Deem it to be the womb of Isis, or the body of Nuit. 5. Next, identify thyself with the base of the spine as before, but figure to thyself its energy as infinite. Deem it to be the phallus of Osiris, or the being of Hadit. 6. These two concentrations, 4 and 5, may be pushed to the point of samadhi. Yet lose not control of the will. Let not samadhi be thy master herein. 7. Now then, being conscious both of the brain and the spine, and unconscious of all else, do thou imagine the hunger of the one for the other, the emptiness of the brain, the ache of the spine, even as the emptiness of space and the aimlessness of matter. And if thou hast experience of the Eucharist in both kinds, I am not entirely sure what Alice is talking about here, but can take a guess, it shall aid thine imagination herein. 8. Let this agony grow until it be unsupportable, resisting by will every temptation, not until thine whole body is bathed in sweat, or it may be in sweat of blood, and until a cry of intolerable anguish is forced from thy closed lip, shalt thou proceed. 9. Now let a current of light, deep azure flecked with scarlet, pass up and down the spine, striking as it were upon thyself at art, coiled at the base as a serpent. Let this be exceedingly slow and subtle, and though it be accompanied with pleasure, resist, and though it be accompanied with pain, resist. 10. This shalt thou continue until thou art exhausted, never relaxing the control. Until thou canst perform this one section 9 during a whole hour, proceed not, and withdraw from the meditation by an act of will, passing into a gentle pranayama without kumbhaka, and meditating on Harpocrates, the silent and virginal god. 11. Then at last, being well fitted in body and mind, fixed in peace, beneath a favorable heaven of stars at night, in calm and warm weather, mayst thou quicken the movement of the light until it be taken up by the brain and the spine, independently of thy will. If in this hour thou shouldst die, is it not written, Blessed are the dead that die in the Lord? Apocalypse 13:14. Yeah, blessed are the dead that die in the Lord. H.B. or Hymenaeus Beta, in an editorial note to the Blue Brick, demonstrates that this is one of the methods of Sabapati Swami, referred to in Liber O, being derived from a Raja Yoga practice described in a book by said author. A summary by Crowley survives in his diaries.